Zzz. Suddenly, Hellebore, the sprite warrior you met earlier, appears before you, but instead of his calm face, you see panic in his eyes. Come quickly! They are attacking the Tree of Life! Follow me! He leads into the Fey Forest. You dash after him through twisting woodland paths, avoiding brambles and finding your way despite the darkness of the blanketing canopy overhead. Eventually, you come to a place where some trees have been ripped out and destroyed, and there in the little clearing of life, you see one tree. Two are burning next to it, but one is still there. He surrounded by corpses, the ripped apart corpses of humans, half-orcs, and dogs. He pulls apart the last human, but the agony it's in doesn't end there. The wood on his limbs break and splits, and you see acid dripping down his bark, burning all, and the acrid smell fills the air. He tries to pull himself out of the earth, but then collapses down, an exhausted face appearing in the bark. Ankhegs! They have my roots! Save me! Implores the Tree of Life. You see 1 to 2 foot diameter holes leading, curving into the soil below, and little ripples as some giant insects move somewhere beneath the surface of the earth. What do you do? This is the tactical challenge I presented to my players yesterday. They are 7th level adventurers, and 3 ankhegs would not normally provide them with much of a challenge. It depends on the situation, but this was a new challenge. The ankhegs did not come out from the soil. They were underneath, attacking something and not letting the Tree of Life, which was basically a treant, go. And each round they attacked the treant at advantage because they had a grip on it and were pumping acid into its phylum and xylem. There were 2 approaches obvious. One was to go down the tunnels, but the tunnels were so small and constricted that that it was impossible to use any weapon other than a dagger or a grapple. You could grapple and try to pull the ankheg out, but the ankheg is a large creature, so grappling would be done at disadvantage. We have a barbarian who grapples at advantage anyway, so it cancelled it out. The other approach was to stick a spear or a similar weapon, a lance, even a javelin, through the ground, but you couldn't see the ankheg, so it would be done at disadvantage. No other weapons would work, and nothing that you needed to see the opponent would work. It had complete cover. What would you do in that situation? First, the barbarian tried grappling it, but after the first fail, he gave up on that. According to my mechanics, it might have worked, but he has perhaps the player has perhaps a bit more experience of this kind of situation, and he couldn't see how he could get a grip to effectively pull something that hard out of a hole. So he changed his tactics and ran back and grabbed his mining equipment, because he is a miner, this character, and dug holes, while his companions, not one actually went and carved. He took the end of a halberd and sharpened the end of a halberd to turn it into a makeshift spear, which worked, but needed a round or 2. And then he attacked with this improvised spear through the ground. The third didn't know really what to do. but was just pumping healing spells into the Tree of Life, keeping it alive until the other two uncovered one by one. One hole would not uncover 3 ankhegs. They had to dig a separate hole for each ankheg. Eventually, they got down to them and saved the life of the Tree of Life. But they used every single spell they had in the combat. I like providing players with not just standard puzzles of trying to sort out who's trying to double cross or who what the political shenanigans or who's trying to murder somebody, who the traitor is. These are typical puzzles. Then there are also sort of dungeon puzzles where you move boxes or things to align with some internal logic. Those are not my favorite, but I do like presenting my characters with tactical puzzles to overcome. Real life, I say that they're ankhegs and it's a fantasy world, but sort of easy to imagine tactical situations where they have to think on their feet. Their usual tactics won't help them, and they've got to think on their feet and come up with a new solution to this problem. My name's Caius. I love role-playing games, and I hope to see you in one in the future.